I love it when I finally get to do a video that crosses both of my passions of music and technology. Today's video, I'm going to show the app forScore. As a music teacher and a musician myself, I carry around a ton of music, just like I'm sure all of you fellow musicians also carry. I have method books, I have scores for my different bands, I've got the method books for the kids, I've got my own practice methods, my own sheet music. I mean, I probably have stacks that would fill this entire screen, plus then some. I can't even keep count of probably how many bins of music I have. And I can go from all of that down to just this little teeny iPad that has all of my music on it. There is a great app called forScore. For iPad, there are two apps I've come across that both work pretty well. In the early days, I used one called PScore. I found it worked really well, but it had some bugginess. I don't even remember what it was, but just for my needs, I just found it didn't work very well. I ported everything over to forScore, and ever since doing that, it has been flawless. It has so many features built in and just makes life so much easier. Instead of carrying around these piles and piles of music, and maybe I get to the elementary school and go, oh, I forgot the score I need, and then I have to run over to the high school and grab that. Or if I'm over at the high school and realized I forgot something at the elementary school, this just saves me so much time. And it also gives me the nice advantage that I can actually project what's on my screen so the students in class can see it. And when I'm on a gig, I can put together a sheet list. I don't need to worry about wind blowing the music off my stand. I can use special stands that you can buy to hold your tablet. And with the iPad, they have all sorts of different sizes, so you can kind of buy what fits your needs. I don't tend to use, this is the iPad Air 4th Gen, which has a little bit smaller screen. I actually have the original iPad Pro, the 12.9 inch. That's the one I use 99% of the time because it's pretty much the same size as a sheet of music. So it makes it really easy to see the screen, especially when you're conducting through big scores that have a lot of things going on. Probably about the only time I sometimes will avoid it is when I'm conducting from a really dense score, because when you bring it down a little bit in size, even on the 12.9 inch, it can be a little tricky to see. But again, it just depends on how you conduct from a score. So if you just kind of use it more as a reference and you're not looking at it very often, then awesome. The other thing I like about using these apps is you get the notation with the Apple Pencil, so I can make markings all over it just like I would with a piece of pencil in my own music. And the really nice thing is it all goes with you. I don't have to, be off in a practice room or practicing in the, I might be practicing in the gymnasium at the school and go, geez, it'd be really cool to have these pieces and I could just run through them really quickly, but I didn't think about it beforehand. With the iPad and using this app forScore, I've got everything right there. So I'm not going to do a deep dive into forScore. I'm going to kind of show that overall of what it can do and kind of how it works. There are a ton of features built within it, and this will give you a really good idea to see how it works and just get a feel for it. The best suggestion I can make is just to jump in yourself and check it out. They do have a free version, and then you can step up to a paid version I think it's $9.99 a year. But forScore is my suggestion. Before we jump in though, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button down below. While you're down there, also hit that bell button so you can stay up to date with all my latest tutorials. And if you have any further comments on anything I cover in this video, or maybe something I didn't cover, feel free to leave that down in the comments below, and I'll either respond to those comments directly or maybe even use it to inspire a future video. So please don't hesitate, and I thank all of you for your support. So let's jump into forScore. So I have a score pulled up here on my screen already. I'm going to keep the camera off this time so you can kind of see the full screen. I think it'll make it a little bit easier for using this app. But when you get into the app, it will open up the last thing that you've been using. So if you tap on the screen, anywhere on the screen, it'll pull down that top navigation menu that you see going across the top. And this is kind of where all the features are within forScore. So if I tap on the note icon on the top left, that's going to give you all of your organization so you can create all the folder structures that you want to use. And it really leaves it up to you on how you want to best organize all your sheet music. So if I tap scores here and I go back, you'll actually see in all libraries, which lists everything that you have. Then I have it broken down. So I play with a group called Star City Syndicate. I have a section called Trumpet Solos, Trumpet Method, and Scores. In my previous, when I used forScore, I also had them for the community band and the orchestra I play with. But with everything that's been going on, we just haven't had those rehearsals, so I haven't needed those things. But I will be adding them back in for when we start up this fall, which will be really nice. So if I, for example, wanted to practice some of our Star City Syndicate music, I could tap on that. And then you can even break down into further categories. So actually, if I go back and tap on scores, you'll see I have other breakdowns here. I'll have band scores and pet band scores. I may even break it down to like elementary scores and junior, senior, high school scores. But you can have a lot of sub-organization that'll make it really easy to kind of fine-tune the structure that you need. But the thing I really do like is no matter, everybody organizes their music differently. This will allow you to organize it in a way that fits your style, which is what I really do like. So if I tap on Star City Syndicate, I'm going to tap on all of ours. And now you're going to just see an alphabetical list of all the pieces that we play. And it puts them right in order. You can also organize it from newest to latest. So you're able to structure them that way if you need. You will also see a search at the top, so you can search directly. Then you have the edit button. You can tap on one of these and you can edit a bunch of entries or not. You can tell it to share. You can clone it. You can delete them. You can do any type of organization you want. So let's say I wanted to edit this one. So I'm going to tap on that and I'm going to hit edit. And in here is where you can attach all your stuff. This is where you can kind of hyper organize it. You can list composers. So if you want to search your music by composer, you can do that. You can set it up with genres. You can attach tags to it. I just tend to keep it kind of simple. I just want to make it quick and easy to use. So I use the labels feature. And if you notice, it said Star City Syndicate and the piece was in my Star City Syndicate folder. So that's where you would attach those labels, is right there. You can give it a rating, a difficulty. You can even put down how long the piece is, what key it's in, and all those things. And you can do that for all your pieces. So let's say you imported a bunch of new music. I could hit edit and I could just tap on a bunch of these and then tap the edit button, and then under labels. So what I can do is tap on labels and tap that little drop down arrow button, and it'll allow me to select any of the labels I want to attach to it. Since it's already in my Star City Syndicate, it's showing that. If I had just recently imported this, it would show you all of your labels. Or if you have a ton of labels, you just start typing a label and it will pop up so that you can edit that. So I'm going to back out. To import music, you would tap on the import button across the top. And now you can either import from your files on your iPad, so you could airdrop the files over. This takes in PDF files, so you could send the PDF files from your iPhone over to the iPad, or if you use Dropbox, you can add some other services, and what it'll do is it'll automatically search for those folders. So when you want to import, you can just go right into those folders. So for example, for me, I keep all my files in Dropbox. If I tap on Dropbox, let me back up to my folder structure here. You're going to see in my Dropbox, I have a couple of folders, but I have one called forScore. If I tap on forScore, it's going to come in and I have all the different breakdowns for everything. So I have all my brass trumpet parts, my band scores, the brass quintet, the orchestral, just anything I'm going to utilize, I've got a folder in there. And then when I need to import them, I just go into my Dropbox and off I go. You can use the app to take a photo of the music, but what I've found is my camera photo is just so much better. It's just easier to take the photo with the camera on my phone and then airdrop it over to my iPad. Or if you have an Android phone and an iPad, you could then upload it to a storage system and then move it over that way. You can also have it, I believe, read from Google Drive. So if you're on an Android phone, you could save it to your Google Drive, kind of like I do with Dropbox, and then move it into the app. So lots of ways to get music over to it. So that's the structure. Now let me go into one of my scores that maybe has a few more pages to it. Let me pull up. There. This one has a bunch of pages. So I'm going to tap on the screen. Now you're going to see this little kind of book icon on the top left here. This is a bookmark section. So let's say, for example, in this score, just for the sake of this taking up the whole screen, I've got it in landscape mode, but you can put it into portrait mode like I'll show right here. And now you can actually see the full page. Like you notice when I was scrolling through before, it would jump to the bottom of the page, then jump to the next page, jump at the top, jump to the bottom, and over. This way I can actually just scan through the pages, and all I'm doing is I'm tapping the right side of the screen or the left side of the screen. The other really cool thing with this app is you can buy a foot pedal. Any Bluetooth foot pedal. I use the one that is made by AirTurn. I'll put that down in the description below to my affiliate link over on Amazon. But I find the AirTurn pedal works really well. You can just tap the right pedal to go forward a page or tap the left pedal to go back a page. That way you don't even need to touch the screen. So that kind of gets rid of the whole page turn issue, especially if you're playing an instrument that takes two hands. It's kind of handy that you can just use your foot to scroll through the pages. But all I'm doing is just tapping on the right side of the screen or on the left. So I'm going to put this back into the portrait mode. So let's say I wanted to mark this as the first page. So I'm going to tap on the bookmark icon, and I'm going to say add, and I'll just say first page. And then I'll hit save. Now let me jump back over a few pages. Let's say, right here. Let's say this is 37 and it's a spot I want to start quite often. Or it's a big section maybe I'm going to be working on in today's rehearsal. So I'll do that. I'll say add bookmark, and I'm going to say measure 37, and I'll save that. So now if I just want to jump around, I'll tap on the bookmark. If I tap the first page, it'll take me right to the first page. Let's say I want to jump right to that measure 37. I tap that, it takes me right to measure 37. So you can use this to kind of pre-plan your rehearsals. So it allows you to quickly jump around to your music. For any trumpet players out there who use the Arbenz method, where the Arbenz method is considered kind of the trumpet Bible, and it's about 1.5 inch thick book. And it's broken up by sections. They have a section on like single tonguing, double tonguing, triple tonguing, slurs, intervals. I can actually create a bookmark to each one of those sections so I don't have to sit there and scroll through or remember what page it's on. Because the other thing you can do is if I tap on the screen, you're going to see this little circle with all these dots on the bottom. If I just drag my finger like you're seeing, I can actually scroll through the pages really quickly. So if I do know what page something is on, I can go right to that page. But the bookmarks feature is really, really handy. The next feature is what we call the hamburger menu. And this is where you can create set lists. So let me go back into one of my Star City Syndicate folders. And I'll pull up that piece. Now I'm going to tap on the set list. I've created set lists within my Star City Syndicate folder for the different shows we've done. So we might do 45 to 50 songs in a gig. So what I can do is put the songs in order. And then as I tap the right or the left hand side, it'll just keep progressing through that order. So I don't have to go in and search for the next piece. When we finish, search for the next piece. It just moves you through the order of your program. If you have a couple of scores, so let's say you're doing 4 or 5 pieces with your band, you can create a set list for your concert and put the scores right in order, and all you have to do is tap the right side and it'll just keep moving through. So for example, we did a gig at a place called CPAC. If I pull that up and start on the first page, now if I tap, let me put it back into the other mode here. If I tap on the right side, you're going to notice it's changing from song to song. And it's just moving right through the gig. Really, really handy feature. I use this feature all the time. So you can create tons of set lists. So you got to be back at your main screen. So where it lists all your set lists, tap the plus button. It's going to ask for a name of a playlist. So I'm going to hit test and tell it to create. Now it's going to boot me in where I can add my parts. So I hit the plus button. Now I can go through and all I have to do is just tap on a piece and it will add it to the list. And the neat thing is if I change around the order, or maybe I just clicked on one wrong and forgot there's supposed to be another one there, or just put them in the wrong order, you'll see there's a little hamburger menu kind of in the middle here. If I just tap and hold, I can actually slide it around and move it. And then when you're done, you just tap done. And now you'll see all the songs right in my playlist. If I tap on the first one, I can now scroll through my set list. So a really, really nice feature. The next one is the cloud. This is where you can import for some different places or set up the importing. So if I tap on the cloud, you're going to see I already have Dropbox added. but I can tap the plus button and I can add from Google Drive, OneDrive, Amazon Drive, so you can sync to those. You can use your files on your iPad or use the box service. Or if you use one of these content providers like Music Notes, Noteflight, Virtual Sheet Music, Carl Fisher, Presser, or Breely, you can actually import and log into your account on those and actually import the music right from there. So lots of great ways to bring music in. The next part, let me pull up one of my band scores. This is the easiest way to show this. Now let's say I want to use my Apple Pencil and make some markings of this. If I just tap on the screen with my Apple Pencil, you're going to see this whole color menu show up. So I can actually add symbols in there and move it around. So if there's a mistake in the part, I can fix that. If they forget to mark an accidental, for example. If I tap on the line, I can draw all sorts of stuff. I can circle. If I need to write in, for note names for something, for example, even though that's not the right note name. If I need to draw arrows to remember things, or if I need to write names down or just circle anything. And then if I tap on it again, I can change the size. I can change the color. So let's say I wanted to use a red. Then you can change the hue. So you can really change a lot of the different properties. It allows you to really change things up. And then let's say I want to use a highlighter. I can tap that one, and if I tap it again, you can change the thickness. Now, if you want to create your own highlighter, if I turn it down, you'll notice it's going to be very solid. I want to make it yellow, but when I do that, you'll see it actually it covers up everything that's there. So what I want to do is I want to decrease the transparency so you can see through it. Now I can see through it. So if you keep the transparency all the way up, it's going to make it solid. If I bring it down, you're going to see through it more. So it gives you a lot of customization, and you can change the colors. Let's say I want it purple. I know in my own scores, I use like blue highlights, kind of mark maybe a cue. I might use a red highlighter is to mark, here's the melody, a yellow to mount the counter melody, just the different parts I just need to be aware of. In my score, I can use the markers or the highlighters to mark those different things. So it gives you lots of ways, and you can create more. So let's say there's a couple of pen sizes and colors you use, and then highlighters. I can tap the plus button and just keep adding more. And I can tweak underneath it each thing. So I can just quickly tap to jump between all the different styles that I like to use. They've got a ruler tool, so you can draw a straight line. If you need to use something like that. I can't say I've ever needed to use anything like that, but if you do, it allows you to circle something, and then you can delete it. So I could circle all this stuff and hit delete, and it's all gone. Let me get rid of that ruler tool. Gone. So that's one way to do it. You can hit this to enter in text. Then you have your straight up eraser tool. If I want to erase something, works just like a traditional eraser. And then you can adjust its size. You've got the X out, so what that one does is, let's say I've got drawing all over this. If I tap the X, I can clear everything and it's all gone. Then you have the undo and redo button. I use those all the time. So if I make a mistake or just want to quickly get rid of something, I can just use that undo redo to undo and redo. And then when you're done, you just tap done. So if I tap on the screen again, you're going to see the little pencil icon over on the right-hand side. If I tap on that, that's going to bring up that menu where I just was. The other way you can do it is just tap on the screen with your Apple Pencil, and that'll trigger it. But the only thing to know is when you do that, sometimes it'll put a little mark there to begin with. So like if I go to the red tool, you'll see how there's a little red mark there. So I usually will just hit the undo button real quick and boom, it's gone. But you might find that kind of annoying. So up to you on how you want to get to it. But to get to that menu, you can just tap the pencil. You have the search tool where you can search all the music that you have. Then you've got the metronome. So you can actually set a metronome and have it playing. You can have it play a pitch, or you can actually use the tuner. Not something I've used at all, as I use TE Tuner, or there's another tuner I tend to use, and I think I use the metronome app called Tempo. But sometimes if I do need it quickly, I will come in here for a metronome and it'll allow me to do that real fast. And then under the bag, you've got lots of options here. So you can annotate the score, you can put some links into it, adjust the buttons, you can rearrange the pages. So let's say you accidentally scanned everything in and put it in the wrong order. You could actually just X out the pages. Let's say you don't care to have those intro pages and you just want the music. You could hit the X button and get rid of those, or I can just take my finger and just slide around the order. And then when you're done, you can either save it or save as and duplicate what you had. You can put notes on the score. You can crop it down. So maybe you took a photo a little too far away and there's maybe some of the table on the page and you just don't want to see any of that. You can crop it. You can share out the file. You can go into the store and they have some different things you can actually purchase, different practice things and other things that you might use within the app. You can link your services. You can scan. You can create templates. And then under more, you can pull up an on-screen piano. Actually hear it being played. Record yourself. So if you're practicing or just want to get a kind of a rough, dirty recording of your group, you can tap the record button and it'll record them. You can perform, put it into perform mode where it'll kind of enlarge it on the screen. You can back up your library. You can cause it to sync, and then you can just enable, go to support and see your settings for the actual app. So that is forScore in a nutshell. forScore has just turned into one of my all-time favorite apps and probably one of my most used apps, especially as a musician. Everything I own sheet music wise is on this. I have all my students' method books on here. I have all my scores, all my band music, all my orchestra music, just anything I have and need, it's on here. And it's just so much easier than carrying around stacks of music. I've left something at home or at the other school. You don't have to worry about that anymore. It's nice. And the other thing is, you're playing in a darker room. You don't need to worry about having clip lights to your music stand. There's so many things I didn't even think about when I first started going over to this, that now it's just so nice. The only times I have to be careful is obviously when there's weather, but usually we're not playing outside when the weather's that bad anyways. And I've got some protective cover I can put over it. Wind is the biggest thing, but I have a special stand where I can put the iPad into that when it's windy, it kind of just blows through it all. Not like your traditional big like Manhasset stand where the wind catches it and knocks the whole stand right over really quickly. So there's ways you can kind of adapt to those things. About the only scenario I've found it can be a little tricky and just makes me nervous is if it's really hot outside. If it's really hot outside, you've got the iPad sitting against a metal stand, or if the sun's just glaring down, if you're using one of the other stand styles that has an open back, the sun's just beating right down on it. There's some things I've done to help it stay cool. Again, in northern Maine, it's not a huge deal, but if you're somewhere where you tend to play a lot of gigs in a really hot environment, that's something you may just want to keep in mind. So I cannot recommend forScore enough. Otherwise, this is Adam on Tech, signing off.